Hi, Hayden here for Play Music, and welcome to another licks and tips column. This is the second column on picking, and whereas last month we focused on alternate picking and some basic techniques, this month we're going to move on to economy picking. Now, economy picking, as the name suggests, is a method of making your picking more economical. Economy of movement is often very useful to keep things smooth, to perhaps make things faster. So it's not a replacement for your alternate picking skills, not in any way. It's just another tool for the toolbox. And something I'd like to reiterate, because we have had a couple of comments and PMs, I'm not here trying to tell you the right and wrong ways of picking, just offering some suggestions that might be useful to you. So I'm not trying to say that, you know, if you anchor your little finger, you're wrong, because that's a ridiculous thing for me to say, so I wouldn't say it. Just giving you some more options to play around with. Anyway, economy picking. The main reason it's economical is that you keep your pick moving in the direction that you're heading. So if you're ascending the strings, perhaps going from the D to the G, you would use a downstroke. Vice versa, if you were moving down the strings, going from G to D, you would use an upstroke. And that's really all there is to it. They're actually like doing mini sweep picks. Now, don't let the terminology of mini sweep picks or economy picking put you off in any way. Chances are you will already use skills that are used for these techniques, just in a slightly different way. If you've ever strummed a chord, you've pretty much used the same basic technique as economy picking and sweep picking. We're just going to refine it a little and neaten it up. Okay, there are 3 exercises with this column. Let's take a look at the first one, which is figure 1. As you can see with figure 1, we have a 2-note exercise here. One note being the 5th fret of your D string, and the other being the 7th fret of your G string. Now, to play these 2 notes, you're going to start with an upstroke on the D, and then a downstroke on the D. And then continue this downstroke to the G string, which you fretted at the 7th fret. Now, what you'll do is get the pattern going so you can descend the strings with an upstroke. So you'd start upstroke on the D, downstroke on the D, continue that downstroke to the G, upstroke on the G, upstroke on the D. So you would have now try and keep the notes separate but smooth and keep it fluid, which means probably practicing it quite slowly at first and then gradually build up the speed as you go. In figure 2, we're actually going to introduce a couple more notes to the progression here. They are the 5th and 7th on the D string and the 5th and 7th on the G string. We're going to start this pattern by playing an upstroke to the 5th fret of the D string, then a downstroke to the 7th fret, continue that downstroke to the 5th fret of the G, an upstroke to the 7th, a downstroke to the 7th, an upstroke to the 5th, keep that upstroke going to an upstroke at the 7th fret of the D, and then a downstroke on the 5th fret of the D. Played all in one, it'll sound something like this. As before and as ever, start slow and gradually build up the speed, ensuring that you're keeping everything smooth and as accurate as possible. pretty sure you're getting the general idea so far. There's one more exercise to go, and that would be figure 3. For this one, we're using 3 notes per string, starting at the 7th fret on the D string, the 8th fret on the D string, and the 10th fret on the D string, and then the same again on the G string. Now, for the pattern, it will start with a downstroke on the 7th fret of the D string, upstroke on the 8th, downstroke on the 10th, downstroke across to the 7th on the G, an upstroke to the 8th, a downstroke to the 10th, an upstroke on the 10th, a downstroke on the 8th, an upstroke on the 7th, keep that upstroke going to the 10th on the D string, a downstroke on the 8th of the D, and then a downstroke, an upstroke rather, on the 7th of the D string. And you just start again, keeping it nice and cyclic. The most important thing here, as we always stress, is keeping it as smooth as you can and regular and even. Now, in the next lesson, we'll be moving on to a much more complex pattern involving groups of 5 notes, then 7 notes, which will go from the low E to the high E. But until then, keep practicing, send in any questions or any feedback you might have, and remember to check out our free digital magazine at www.playmusicpickup.co.uk, where you can read the tab and the full column for this lesson, and also lots and lots of other stuff. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.